Hello students, welcome in the third week of the SWAM course Anatomy of Flowering Plants. In the previous lecture, we were discussing about tissues. We have started our discussion with meristematic tissues, that we are dividing tissue, and now from this week we will discuss about permanent tissues. Now these permanent tissues are also produced by meristematic tissue, but now they have been differentiated and they are now ready to take a particular structure and perform a particular function. Now, as we have discussed previously that in permanent tissue also we have simple tissues which are made up of only one cell type, as well as complex tissue which are made up of different cell types. So, in the first lecture we will start our discussion with simple permanent tissues which are basically made up of only one cell type, and in this we will start our discussion with parenchymatous tissue. Now, in this we will discuss about these parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. These are simple permanent tissue, and also then we will discuss about complex permanent tissue, xylem and phloem. So, all these things we will cover in a single module. So, first let us start about parenchyma. So, permanent tissue. See, these are the most simple type of permanent tissue, and they are found in almost all parts of the plant. Maybe it is leaf, maybe it is root or stem. In every part of the plant, these permanent tissues are present, and these are simplest type. These are made up of only one cell type. They are living tissue. Okay, the important thing is that they are living tissue. Okay, they are metabolically active. Since they are living tissue, so they will perform lot of metabolic function like catabolism, anabolism. All the things are going on inside the cell of this permanent tissue. Since they are living tissue, they will be thin walled. Okay, because they are now living tissue, as we have discussed also, that they are not bounded by a more thick secondary wall, because when formation of secondary wall takes place, then mostly the tissue becomes dead. So, they are living, so they have thin cell wall. Their cell wall is basically made up of cellulose and will also contain all the component of a primary cell wall. It will contain cellulose, then hemicellulose. It will also contain pectin. So, all the components of a cell wall, primary cell wall, will be found in this parenchymatous tissue. Now, the shape of this parenchymatous tissue is quite variable. Different shapes are there, mostly like they could be isodiametric, means their diameters could be almost similar from all the sides, having spherical shape, oval shape, then polygonal or elongated also. It has been observed that it is found in different plant types. Now, if we draw the structure of this simple parenchymatous tissue, we can see here that they are almost made up of similar types of cells. Okay, they are thin walled, and when we see them under cross section, a cross section means when you are cutting a tissue, suppose this is the stem and you want to analyze the portion of the stem, then you will cut them transversely. This is TS of the section, means transverse section. So, in this way it is the TS, and the other way it is the, if you cut the tissue this way, so this is the longitudinal section. So, when you cut the section of a tissue in transversely, you will see the arrangement of the parenchymatous tissue, and you will see almost similar type of cells, and lot of intercellular spaces are there. So, the important characteristic of these parenchymatous tissue is that abundant intercellular spaces are present, although it is not a rule that every time intercellular spaces will be present, but in most of the cases these intercellular spaces are present. And if you will see them longitudinally, you will see that it is somewhat elongated type of cells you will see. different shapes, definitely different shapes can be there. Okay. So when you will see them, since they are living tissue and metabolically active, they will contain all the cellular organelles, and an important characteristic is present of a vacuole, big vacuole in the center of the cell, and because of this the cytoplasm will be pushed on the peripheral side. So this all characteristic feature you will see, and nucleus you will see, and many other cellular organelles. Even in cross section also you can see a big vacuole there in the center, and the nucleus and other cytoplasmic content are pushed on the peripheral side. A lot of intercellular spaces are also there. Now, this parenchymatous tissue have many facets. Now, what does this mean? That basically they start their formation in the form of sphere, but because of so many other cells are surrounding the tissue, because of this they will form some side, they will appear in the form of polygonal shape. Means they will have different sides or different facets will be attached to the surrounding cell. Now, this figure just show that how many different facets could be there, or how many different sides could be there in a parenchymatous tissue, and we can see lot of you can see 18 or 20 sides could also be visible in this parenchymatous tissue. Like in this case you will have a 14 sided polygonal cell of a parenchyma. In this case also it's almost 14 sided. This is about 10 side, having a 10 side face. Then this one is having 9 sides. So that means they are attached on the with other cell on these portions. This is having a 16 sides, and about 20 side parenchymatous tissue is also observed. Now, intercellular spaces are there, but as I have told that it can vary, like in some storage parenchyma, means some parenchyma which serves the function of storage cell. There the lot of intercellular spaces are there, like in fleshy leaves and stem. However, in some tissue they might be compactly arranged also. Like in endosperm of some seeds, the parenchyma might be compactly arranged, and when they are arranged, the intercellular spaces get decreased and mostly they form a polygonal shape. Like you can see here, suppose this is the parenchyma and it is compactly arranged. So, in this case, the intercellular spaces are very few. So, in some cell tissues you will find like that. Large spaces can be found like in storage parenchyma as well as in mesophyll cells of leaf. In there also large number of intercellular spaces you can observe. Similarly, the walls are thin, but there also some sort of variation could also be observed. Some parenchyma can have thick walls also. So, this is having thick wall parenchyma. Now, this parenchyma cell, from where actually it is formed? So, basically it is formed from the meristematic tissue, but in meristematic tissue also, as early we have studied that they contain different zones, suppose apical meristem is there, okay. So, it contains different zones: protoderm, ground meristem and procambium. Now, parenchymatous tissue is found in all different in all different layers of a plant tissue. So, even in protoderm, which is giving rise to epidermis, so there also parenchyma is there. So, in that case the parenchyma will be from protoderm. Similarly, ground meristem will also give rise to parenchyma of the cortex and pith region. Similarly, procambium will also give rise to parenchyma of the vascular tissue. Now, when we will study vascular tissue, there also we will study that a lot of some parenchymatous tissues are also there, some living tissues are also there. So, they are derived from procambium. Okay. Even secondary parenchyma is also present in vascular tissue, which is formed by cambium. That also we will discuss later in further classes, that cambium give rise to secondary tissues. Okay. And in the secondary tissue also there is a formation of this vascular cambium give rise to xylem, secondary xylem and secondary phloem, and along with that secondary parenchyma is also formed. So, different origins of this parenchyma is there depending on from what cell type it is coming out. Now, parenchyma forms the bulk of plant tissue, means it is basically, you can say that it is a type of packing tissue, okay, which forms the major bulk of the plant tissue. Okay, it fills the gap and fills the space along with performing lot of other specialized function. It fills the space, so it is basically a packing tissue. This parenchyma, since they have thin cell wall, they are metabolically active. So, generally they are found in soft parts of the plant, such as in leaves. Mostly in leaves you will find parenchyma. Hard tissues are less. In fruits also, in flowers, in delicate flowers also, most of the tissue is parenchymatous. Even in young stem, which are still growing and they are herbaceous in nature, so in that stem also parenchyma is present. Now, parenchymatous tissue have highest degree of plasticity. That means it can take lot of structure, it can take lot of functions. So, it can be modified to perform different types of work. Some important functions we will discuss also in detail is about photosynthesis, then storage, then secretion. So, all these functions are also performed by parenchymatous tissue, apart from being the packing tissue or apart from being the filler tissue. Now, coming to composition of parenchyma. So, definitely since it is a living tissue, it is made up of protoplast. You all know that protoplast is the living part of a cell, and definitely vacuoles will be there, large vacuoles will be there, one or two vacuoles. However, depending on the cell type, that can vary, but generally a big vacuole is there in parenchyma cell. Primary wall we have discussed before, that since it is living tissue, so it will contain thin primary wall made up of cellulose. Then however, thick walls could also be there, as in case of storage parenchyma, because they are not so active and their main function is in storage. Hemicellulose. Now, it is important to remember this, that hemicellulose is present, which is responsible for the thickness of, you can say, primary cell wall. So, when we say that the cell has a primary cell wall, but still it is thick. So it is observed that it is the hemicellulose which is deposited more in case of those thick cell wall of primary nature. Now, many of the this parenchyma cell, they contain plastids. Okay, plastids, it's a diverse organelle which perform various function, but important function is storage, and the important plastid chloroplast is responsible for photosynthesis. So plastid also they will contain chloroplast if they are involved in photosynthesis, and otherwise they will contain leucoplast, which is for storage of various metabolites. Like you have starch storage plastids, so that all we have discussed, plastid which are storing proteins, which are storing lipids. Now, along with that, parenchyma also contain lot of other metabolites like carbohydrates. So, because since it's a living, so it has to perform lot of functions. So, carbohydrate will give them energy. So, that is also there. Then nitrogenous compound. See, that all we have also discussed when we were talking about ergastic substances. So, along with the things which are required for their primary metabolism, many things are stored for later use or for some other important function. So, fatty acids are also present, nitrogenous compound in the form of proteins, and various deposition is also there of proteinaceous nature, oils are there, lipids are there. Okay, so all the things are present in parenchyma. Like proteins, when we talk about protein, okay, when we talk about leguminous plants, see leguminous plants like pea and all those things, which we say that they are rich in protein. So, they are rich in starch, they are rich in protein. So, in cotyledons which supports the growing embryo should also be rich in various metabolites. So, these things are present in the parenchymatous tissue of these plant types. Now, starch is found in endosperm, okay. Endosperm of parenchyma of tubers like potato you would have heard of, it's a tuber, so it's a starchy vegetable which contains lot of stored starch. So, those starch are stored in the parenchymatous tissue. Similarly, in cortex also starch is stored. Fruits also, we know that fruits are also source of various type of carbohydrates, various type of like starch. So, they store them. Even in xylem and phloem also, when parenchymatous tissue is found, they store starch for metabolic activity as a source of energy, and when it is required they can take it from there and then they can use it from various purposes. Now, many parenchyma is also found to store water also in some storage organs, in some succulents plants like cactus. You would have seen that it has a thick fleshy stem and they store water for their future use. So, in that case parenchymatous tissue store them. Now, coming to different modification of this parenchymatous tissue. So, the first important parenchyma is known as chlorenchyma. Now, the name is given because this chlorenchyma perform photosynthesis. Now, any type of parenchymatous tissue, if it perform photosynthesis, then it is known as chlorenchyma. Now, photosynthesis, you all know that it is the process by which plant capture light energy and they convert this light energy into chemical energy in the form of different sugar molecules. First of all, simple sugars are made and then from there complex sugars are made. So, chlorenchyma, this is a picture where you can see chlorenchyma. Now, these structures are basically, now photosynthesis will be definitely performed in the organelle which is known as chloroplast. So, that all we have studied before, that it is a green, it is a plastid which is green in color. And why it is green in color? Because it contains a pigment molecule known as chlorophyll. Chlorophyll A, B is there and various other accessory pigments are also there like xanthophyll, carotene. Okay, so all the things are there which perform photosynthesis. Basically, they absorb light and then they transfer the energy of this light through different reaction pathways, and then finally sugar is produced. So, this parenchyma, they will perform photosynthesis. And now basically this parenchyma will be found in leaves and green stem. Now, in leaves also, the important tissue which is known to contain them is known as mesophyll. Now, this parenchyma which is found in leaves and performing photosynthesis is known as mesophyll. That also we will study in slight detail, but for now this is made up of palisade layer and spongy parenchyma. Okay. Okay. When we see the structure of leaves, so that also we will discuss in detail. Okay, but so the upper palisade layer contain lot of chloroplast, and they are basically responsible for photosynthesis. And then on the lower side you will have spongy parenchyma, okay. So, here also you will contain chloroplast. Okay. So, in palisade layer you can see here they are elongated cells, and they have less intercellular spaces, they are compactly arranged, and they contain chloroplast, they contain large number of chloroplast and responsible for photosynthesis. Similarly, in leaf another type of parenchyma is there, which is almost rounded and spherical in structure, and they are loosely arranged, and they contain fewer chloroplast. And the function of all these, both the type of mesophyll tissue is to perform photosynthesis. Here you can also see that how different arrangements of parenchyma, as we have talked before, that they could be compactly arranged as in case of palisade layer. Similarly, in spongy parenchyma, lot of intercellular spaces are there. So, this is also one type of arrangement. Here also you can see the difference in the shape of the cells, where columnar cells are there, and in this case spherical cells are there. In green stems also, which perform photosynthesis, you can see that when after the outer epidermis in the cortical region. Okay, so that also we will study in detail when we will talk about the arrangement of these tissues. Okay, so in cortex region also, the cells which are parenchymatous and performing photosynthesis will contain chloroplast. See, their arrangement will not be similar to that of leaf arrangement, but yes, whatever parenchymatous cells are there, they will perform photosynthesis. Okay. Now, next we will come to parenchyma. Now, in these parenchyma, which are actually modified in such a way that they enclose an air cavity. Now, this type of parenchyma is present in aquatic species, aquatic plants you can say, or aquatic plants, and in this lot of air spaces has been, now they are arranged in such a way, like you can see here, they are packed . So, air spaces, this is also a cross section which is showing air spaces which are formed by the arrangement of these parenchymatous tissue. Now, these parenchymatous tissue are arranged in aquatic plant in such a way basically to provide buoyancy. That means these air spaces help the plant to float. Okay, and because if the plant is too hard to and the weight of the tissue is very high, then definitely they can be submerged, and many of the plant it's not required that they should be submerged, or even in the submerged species also it's required that they should be erect and they should be floating. So that type of buoyancy is provided by these air spaces which is found in parenchyma. Okay. Now coming to storage parenchyma, it is found in storage organs like seeds, tubers, then endosperm. Okay. So in this these parenchymatous tissue, okay, either they will be compactly arranged in many of the cases, lot of storage organelles, storage depositions like starch granules and many other storage depositions could be observed. Like starch could be there, then oils, or many a times tannins and many other things could also be stored. And their walls are generally thick wall, and that is definitely due to presence of hemicellulose. Many parenchyma of petals and flowers contain chromoplast. Okay, that also is many a time stored, so they give color to the plant. Now coming to the next type is stellate parenchyma. Stellate cells are also found in petioles and midribs. It also provides aeration, and the shape of the parenchyma is a star shape, that's why it is known as. They are also enclosing a cavity. So they are also enclosing a cavity here, like this you can see lot of these, and they help in internal air circulation. Okay. Okay. Then xylem parenchyma, as we have discussed before, that in xylem vascular tissue also we find parenchyma. So there also their main purpose is storage. Okay. Stores food, storage of food in the form of starch, in the form of fats, and they also help in radial conduction of water. See, xylem is a tissue which is involved in axial conduction, but yes, definitely to the lateral organs also you require that water should reach. So in that condition, see, this is the axial conduction, okay, and on the sides also you want that the water should reach. So in that case, this xylem parenchyma comes into picture and performs radial conduction. Now in phloem parenchyma also, it is also made up of elongated and tapering cylindrical cells having dense cytoplasm, and they also store food material. Now coming to the next type is secretory parenchyma. Now it is involved in secretion. See, many substances are synthesized in a cell and they are secreted to the outside environment. So in such cases, these parenchymatous cells are modified in such a way and they secrete like resins. So we have also discussed that so many substances were there which were secreted to the outside environment, or nectar is there. So these are formed in a special parenchyma which perform the secretory role, and they will also have dense cytoplasm. They will have endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies. Prosenchyma are elongated and narrow cells which are compactly arranged. Tapering cells are there, and they are with fewer intercellular spaces, and they basically provide mechanical support. Now, one very important characteristic feature of parenchyma is dedifferentiation. That means they can again become meristematic, and they can start dividing, and whenever it is required, like During secondary growth formation also many a times it is found that this is the parenchymatous tissue which becomes active, okay, apart from cambium, which is the vascular cambium. We will also study that later. There is a cork cambium which forms from the parenchymatous tissue, and many a times in the root also there are parenchymatous tissue which will become meristematic, and they will start behaving like meristematic tissue. During the time of injury also they can all again they differentiate and give rise to new tissues. In the last, we will just try to summarize the functions of parenchyma. So, definitely lot of metabolic processes taking place. It is photosynthetic, it performs photosynthesis, it performs meristematic activity which helps in wound healing and regeneration. It provides aeration, gases exchange and buoyancy. Then many parenchymatous cells have cuticular secretions on the outer wall which helps in protection. It provides turgidity, because I have told you before that the cells take with the help of turgidity, actually they maintain their shape, that is also responsible for the strength of the plant. So, they also provide turgidity, they help in storage of chemical secretion, and they also help in transportation, as in case of parenchyma of xylem tissues, and they also have the capacity to secondary growth. So, we have discussed about parenchymatous. In the next lecture, we will take another permanent tissue, that is collenchyma. So, thank you for today.